want to say this to the men so y'all can better understand what's really going on with us women. We are mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually exhausted in motherhood, okay? The domestic labor falls on us, and we know that society goes by traditional roles, so a lot of the household deeds fall on the women. But for us we constantly have to be attentive to what our children need when they're sick, when they look like they're about to become sick, their education, their emotional well-being, them learning, their coping skills. This is all of everything that we are paying attention to. On top of loving our children, we're trying to find spaces to be able to love ourselves. On top of trying to create safety for our children, we're looking for safety and security within ourselves. And sometimes because of all of the expectations and obligations and burdens and the load on us, we can't find that safety. So we turn to our partner, and sometimes in our partner, because they resent us so much for the transitions that we have faced in our motherhood, we can't find safety with them as well. So you have to be able to extend some type of grace. And that's what we mean when we say we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be understood, we want to be validated. We need you all because we understand that mentally, psychologically, men and women are not the same. We understand that, but as a partner, we need you to try to step into our shoes, see it through our eyes, hear it through our ears, feel it through our heart, so you can better understand where we are coming from.
Welcome to Relationship Talk with the Geths. Join Ed and Maya, a dynamic husband and wife duo, as they share real and honest advice on love, dating, and marriage. As transformational relationship coaches, they specialize in helping both singles and couples enhance communication, build intimacy, and experience greater pleasure in their relationships. They also offer online courses tailored for singles and married couples and are fully licensed to officiate weddings. Now, let's dive into today's session.
I'm going to let you talk because she just spoke from a woman's perspective.
She did. And I had to, I'm going to be honest, I had to change the filter to hear that. I think, now this is a podcast we kind of watch.
Have you heard this from me before?
Yes.
Okay.
But I heard it in a different tone, a different presentation. I think the presentation came off a bit, I felt in it. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, not too bad.
Was that my tone though?
No, that wasn't that's what I said. Your tone was different.
Whose presentation was
hers?
Oh, I was about to say that's not generally me.
No. That's what I'm saying.
You said hers was a little aggressive.
A little aggressive.
Okay.
Her words were very valid.
Okay.
And understandable, but that's why I said I had to hear her. I had to put a different filter to be like, okay, let me not hear her tone. Let me hear her words, hear her frustration, hear her plea, because she's pleading. You get what I'm saying? She's pleading for some help. She's pleading to be heard, as she said, to be understood, to be validated, and for some help or some grace. Not necessarily help, but at least grace. So if I'm not giving you what you need right now, understand what I'm going through that's prohibiting me not giving you what you need right now.
Okay.
And I'll eventually get to you. But it does seem like, hey, I'm dealing with all this and then I'm going to get to you versus, some priority from the man. Maybe I'm hearing it wrong, so I'm sure you'll tell me, let me put you in this priority. Or she's saying this right here is, I need some grace. And grace means time. Or I need you to help me. So again, the words, okay, tone, it would take your partner to be, maybe she starts off before that saying, I need you to really hear me right now. But if you come off instantly like that, I don't know if that message will get through. A good message, but tone sometimes can make a message seem from a plea to an attack. Okay.
So now that you have been able to decipher and you're saying, I know where she's coming from, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are,
because this is a common thing for women, and I would like to break it down just a little further moving in.
Okay.
I heard her say that he may be, and I don't want to misquote, but I want to say that she said he was frustrated with the transition.
Yeah.
So
That's
what that sounded like was she was able to take care of some things in a season, and after a transition, it's becoming too much. So what we have to do a better job of is not dropping the ball after a transition. Like, we have got to come back together in marriage after life transitions and reassess
transition. I mean,
okay,
a
so
little more.
I'm gonna go into it and reassess. I'm gonna go into it and reassess who's doing what this looks like for us. These are the type of transitions that I'm speaking of.
Okay.
She just got pregnant and had a baby.
That's usually the biggest one. Yeah.
That's a huge one in marriage. I have a sick parent.
Okay.
We lost a child.
Okay.
I'm experiencing. I got a promotion at my job, so now my job is more demanding.
Right.
You got a promotion at your job. Now your job is more demanding. Maybe now you have to travel way more. So any of those transitions, anything like that, then when things happen, your marriage takes a hit. Even if it's not a hit, it could be a blessing. But when there are changes,
Right.
where somebody's workload goes up or down, we have got to come back to the drawing board
Right.
and say, hey, before we got married, we decided that this is what our roles would be. Now that we are in this season, because you experience so many seasons throughout your marriage, now that we're here, this is what I need from you. This is what I have the capacity to give. How can we meet in the middle so that I'm not so overwhelmed and frustrated, and I can be my best self for you? What can you do, to be your best self? How can you show up? Because it's definitely not fair if transitions are happening. Things, it's not always a 50-50. Sometimes it's 70-30. You just got to get to 100. And you got to bust it out at 70 sometimes, bust it out at 60, bust it out at 80.
Right.
Just know that you're doing this for your partner, and in the next transition, they could do the same for you.
Right.
Or you might be able to even things back out at 50-50. But have the conversation.
Okay. Agree. I don't know how you want to put the situation we dealt with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Like, with proper conversation, tone, and timing, messages can either be received or they can be attacks. And I feel like you said, if somebody feels like they're carrying 80% or 70% or sometimes 90%, then it's got to be said, because the person's probably feeling a certain type of way. And then on the flip side, it's got to be received. It's got to be received, because that person that's only at 10 right now, why is it you're only at 10? Or what can you do? Because this 90 is breaking my back, or this 80 is breaking my back right now.
Right. Do you have the capacity to carry more than 20? Right. When I lost my mom, we didn't have children at our house at that time. I didn't have the capacity right after she died to show up. If I had two small kids, I don't know how I would have been able to show up. Right. Because I was crying all day, every day. Yes. Like, I eventually healed to a place where I could cry every other day, then maybe once a week, and then sporadically. But right afterwards, I didn't have 50% to offer him. Right. I couldn't meet him in the middle. Right. He had to come and get me. And so, but that's a conversation. Like, I know I usually cook every day. I can't cook right now. I need you to figure out something for our food, or we won't eat. Because I don't even want food. I just, I'm grieving in this transition of life. I need something. And so I think a lot of marriages fall apart because in the transitions, there are no communication happening where people are able to meet, or one partner or the other is unwilling to meet that partner. Right. Even though they're crying out and saying this is what I need, they're like, I ain't really willing to do that. I
Right.
signed up for 50%.
Right.
I will not do 51.
Right.
So just know you signed up for 50, you're going to have to do 51,
Ooh.
52, 60, 70 sometimes.
Yeah.
But don't get stuck in that. Don't require 70 of your partner when you can give 50. Because I think people get complacent. They get so used to their partner grinding.
Right.
And they like, I've healed from that, but
Yeah.
I kind of like the 30. I like giving 30. It's pretty comfortable over here. So if you can just continue in that 70 role,
Yes.
I'll give 30 and
Yeah.
we'll be happy. When actually it's just you that's happy.
Right.
Because the one that's giving 70 for an extended period of time, even after you're able to give more, now they're overwhelmed and frustrated. All because you don't want to do your part.
Right. I know there are ebbs and flows in marriages where, you know, one gets, yes, it's not going to always be 50-50, guys. There's going to be some give and take where it's going to be more giving and less taking, or more taking and less giving throughout.
And I'm definitely not talking about finances. I'm
No,
not talking about
no,
splitting bills. I'm talking about everything it takes to make a marriage and family work. Every dynamic, like every piece of.
Yeah. The planning of schedules, the paying of bills, the house chores, the
Discipline of the
discipline
children.
of the children.
The caring and nurturing of the children.
caring of parents, if that's a thing. You get what I'm saying? The planning of vacations. See, people forget about that. You know what I'm saying? The planning of holidays and birthdays. Where we going, when and where. You just can't show up, because that'll happen. I promise you. You'll be like, all right, here we go. You ready to go to my mom's house? I didn't know we was going to your mom's house. I thought we told my sister we was going. Oh, what? When? Wow. When?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
that's
actual
happening.
marriage is a factor.
Yes.
Who is making sure that we're sitting down having weekly or biweekly meetings
Yes.
about our marriage and what needs to, give or take here. Who is grocery shopping? Who is making sure we have deodorant, soap? All the things is what we're talking about. That can be a lot, like making sure that we are to the best of our ability balancing those things out so that nobody's overwhelmed.
Yes, and the worst thing that I was more guilty of this there is to assume the other person got it. That was, look at her face. I was the worst. I'm like, you didn't do that? You didn't pick up my thing? Boy, and she'll be like, why would you think I would do that? And you can't have a conversation. And always be willing to just say yes and do a little more. Like that's the best thing I can say as far as that'll help.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.